Okay, so last week we covered some basics. We played just the root notes of the chords, and then we added on top of that the triads of the chords and started learning how to improvise with that. What we're going to do this lesson is expand the initial three-note triad shape that I showed you in the last lesson. We're going to learn one that adds not new notes, but doubles two notes that are already in that triad so that we have more notes that we can play in the chord. And then we're also going to add in the major scale, which is the biggest factor to Phil Lesh sounding like Phil Lesh. So let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is a refresher on all the roots and triads involved in the song. We're going to make sure we remember the chords. So we're going to start off with a D major in the verse. We've got a C major. And we've got a G major. And for the chorus, we've got F. We've got C again. And we have our E. Now, as I said, we're going to take our first three-note triad that we learned and add some extra notes. So this is our basic D triad. But this time, I'm going to also grab the 7th fret on the G string to get the octave of D. And then on our way down, I'm also going to grab the 5th fret on the low E string to get our A. And in doing so, we've extended the range of this one triad without adding any new notes. We're just doubling notes already there. Let's actually watch that one more time, that full D triad. And we're going to continue this pattern with our C triad. We grab the 3rd fret below the C on the E string, and then we also grab the high 5th fret on the G string. Let's watch that again. And because our G chord starts on the low string, the E, we don't grab a lower note. We're only going to grab a higher note on the 5th fret of the D string. That's going to be the octave of our G, as seen here. And right there's the octave. And one more time. Now, don't worry too much about applying this to the chords in the bridge. For now, just focus on applying this to the chords in the verse. Let's watch all the chords in that verse played with the full extended triads. And there's our verse if we played it with the full extended triads. So after watching this, I recommend you take some time to get really comfortable with these new versions of the triads before you start trying to implement them. But what I'm going to show you next is an example of me improvising with a rough general structure through a couple verses of the song, only using triads. I'm not going to use any other technique but these triads and the notes within these triads. So you can replicate everything I'm doing in the video only using the triad shapes. Okay, so great. We've gotten comfortable playing the roots of these chords, playing the basic triads of the chords, and playing the extended triads of the chords. And hopefully we're starting to get comfortable with improvising somewhat with these notes in the triads over the chords while we're listening to the song. Even if you're not playing any fancy lines, just practicing hitting a third or a fifth instead of the root. So for instance, with the D chord, you don't even have to land on that fifth fret of the A string. You can instead land on the third, the next note in the triad, which is the fourth fret on the D string, or you can land on the seventh note of the D string, that's the fifth in the chord. And you can do either of those instead of landing on the root, and you'll still be okay. And this is true of every chord. You can always land on either of those other notes in the triad instead of the root, and you'll be kosher. So the next technique we're going to learn that's going to get us a little closer to playing like Phil is the G major scale, around which most of the chords in the song are based, where 99% of the time in the tonality it would be called a G major. So this is what it sounds like on its own. Don't worry for now about the fact that we're not starting the scale on G. We're actually starting on A, and let's play through this slow. We're going to start on the fifth fret of the low E string, move to the seventh, then the eighth, move up to the A string, fifth fret, seventh, move up to the D string on the fourth fret, fifth fret, seventh fret, and move up to the G string on the fourth, fifth, and then seventh frets. Let's see that one more time. And let's see that again one more time slowly. So again, I recommend, much like with the triads, that you take your time, get really, really familiar with this scale and get it under your fingers, playing it slowly and with a metronome before you start trying to apply it. But once you get it under your fingers, as soon as you feel able, start playing over the song and just use the scale. Don't follow the chords, don't follow the roots. Just trust your ear and play the notes in the scale. This will really get you comfortable with it. What I'm going to show you next is a video of me improvising over this song only using the major scale. Keep in mind, the goal here is not necessarily to craft a totally finished bass line. We want to restrict ourselves to just using the major scale because we want to get comfortable with it. But really, you should, to get the most effective bass line, be implementing both of these things. So it might sound a little weird when you're doing just one or just the other, but this is a part of the practicing to get really, really comfortable, is restricting ourselves to only those options until we have exhausted them before we start incorporating others.